and welcome back to the Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. Very much enjoyed talking Videodrome last time.
Yeah.
Obviously, the start of our Halloween, and there will be another one. But not this week, because we do alternate weeks. This week, we're talking about new films. The rocky, dangerous road of new films.
Yeah.
The uncertain new
The
films.
sparse.
Yes, the barren wasteland of remakes and sequels. Do you want to kick us off?
Sure. I will start with. Excuse me. I will start with Azrael, the Angel of Death.
Yes, a film I have been tempted to watch. I think it looks interesting, but it looked a bit. It looked schlocky, and I wasn't in the mood for schlocky at the time.
Yeah.
But
okay.
it looks fine. So tell me all about it.
So it's directed by E.L. Katz, who I don't think I've seen anything by previously. Cheap Thrills, which was one of those movies that I wanted to watch but never got around to. And it stars Samara Weaving, Vic Cameron Son, Nathan Stewart Jarrett. And so now I read a couple of reviews of this, and there seems to be some sort of disconnect with, I don't know whether people can't read or whether people weren't paying attention, but there's a lot of people that say, I didn't understand the context of this movie, I don't know what was going on. And at the very beginning of the movie it says, it comes up in writing, the rapture has happened.
Right, that's pretty clear.
Yeah, if you don't know what the rapture means, fucking look it up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty quick Google search away from an answer.
So the rapture has happened. All the good people have gone. They're all gone. And what's left is basically all the sinners. And we are basically confronted with our two mains. Well, I say two mains, it's one main really, but when we first see her, she's with a guy. And not sure how far this cult goes, and I will admit it doesn't explain whether they were part of the cult or whether they've escaped from the cult.
Sure.
But they have the same thing. So this particular group have decided that speech is a sin.
Okay.
So they have basically destroyed their voice boxes. They've all got a little sort of cross-shaped scar on their throats.
Right.
And there are worse things, so basically living in the forest, which are basically what look like charred zombies. They feed on blood, and they're just a bit disgusting. My guess is that they're the truly damned that are,
sure,
the next level of damned that are wandering around. So our Samara Weaving character, basically, her and her, what I presume is her boyfriend, they get captured by this group, and they're carried off. She's strapped to a chair, and basically is going to be given up as sacrifice to these creatures that live in the forest. But she manages to escape, and then basically what follows is her running around getting chased, and
a tale as old as time.
Yeah, basically revenge-y type stuff.
Yeah, cool, okay.
Mixed in with some interesting religious stuff, and an ending which I absolutely adored.
Cool, okay.
I watched this on my own, and my wife was in the other room reading, and I got to the end, and I thought, okay, I'm going to rewind that. I rewound to the ending and came to my wife. Okay, I'll give you a quick brief context of this movie, but I want you to see the end.
Okay.
And she was like, well, I'm glad I didn't watch that movie. So basically, I think it will really test people's patience. It certainly seems to have, because there is only a few lines of dialogue, and that's from a guy who...
Dude, do you know, I was just going to say, when you were saying like this is going to really test people's patience and it'll be like a love-hate thing, I was immediately thinking of No One Will Save You, the Alien movie that I watched last year or the year before. Great movie, but again, there's like 2 lines of dialogue in the whole movie, and like it's got a really weird ending, and like an ending that you'll either love or it will really annoy you.
Out of my head, I'll have to make a note of.
I'm really curious what you think of that movie, but it's funny. There's some parallels here from the sound of it.
Well, she gets picked up by this guy at one point, and he speaks what I thought was Spanish, but on looking into it, he's actually speaking Esperanto to her, and there's no actual translation to what he says.
Sure.
So you have no idea what he says, and she doesn't understand him, and he's, I think there is a translation. I looked it up, and he's basically just asking her where she came from and what language she speaks.
Okay.
And he puts on them.
I guess the point of the scene is that she doesn't understand the language,
yes.
though. So as the audience, neither do we.
He puts on some music, and she sort of, she's clearly never fucking heard music before. So that doesn't actually say how long ago the rapture happened, but they're clearly,
Yeah, because how old? She's like in her 30s, right? Early 30s?
I don't know how old she is.
She's not that old.
So
if it was like pre her, I mean, I guess the character she's playing is similar age.
She was born in 92, so whatever that
30 odd, 32, 30,
yeah.
32, yeah.
So...
Wow, I did maths.
Yeah. Glad you did, because I fucking don't. That's one of the reasons why I married an accountant. So she's clearly never heard music before. There was one thing that I will agree with on some of the reviews that said, why don't they use sign language? And I thought, well, that would make sense, but it's a case of whether they've given up language altogether.
Well, that's the thing. If language is a sin.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets difficult because then you're like, well, surely any form of communication that you're using to communicate between your group is going to be considered a form of language. Body language is a language,
Yeah, I mean, the good thing with Samara Weaving is she has these huge anime eyes that convey amazingly well everything she's feeling. So she's really good at the whole expression thing. It's like, exactly what she's, basically saying, as it were. They do sort of communicate with the cult, as it were, communicate with sort of whistles at times. But it does seem to be more of a sort of a signal thing than an actual,
Yeah, it's not dialogue.
Conveying information. The head of this cult is this pregnant woman who lives in this sort of ruined church where they have these sort of murals on the walls and stuff, which although look sort of religious, there are little things that just make them slightly off.
Right.
She seems to be. There's a crack in the wall of the back of the wall in this church that she seems to be listening to.
Okay. So
you're not quite sure what she's saying, but I mean, and I'm certainly not going to bloody give anything away about any of the stuff. But this is mostly all on Samara Weaving, and she is absolutely brilliant. Basically, just running around in a sort of grueling survival, beaten up, cut, smashed, tied up, dropped from trees. She
right.
really is having a fucking bad day in this movie, but it's absolutely glorious. She's really fucking good. There's just something really enjoyable about watching her survive.
Yeah,
and that as weird as that sounds, I really liked this movie a lot. And yeah, it will definitely test me because it's not in the sort of the same way of Quiet Place, because they have to be quiet, so they're
this is a self-imposed quiet as opposed to we're going to get killed if we're noisy.
Exactly. So
I guess they believe that they might get something horrible happen to them if they make noise because they're sinning then, right? Although wouldn't the fact that they're remaining from the rapture kind of imply that they're problematic already?
Yeah. Well, my guess is that they're hopeful that if they
Oh yes, maybe, yeah.
if they refrain from language, then maybe they will get taken up,
Sure.
or maybe they will be saved.
Yeah, I guess it must have been a while ago then. This rapture, it must have been, because
it's
otherwise you'd be like, well, the people that were talking were raptured. I saw them talking, and before the day before they were raptured, they were definitely having a conversation, which we consider a sin.
So
it sounds interesting though. I'm kind of on board, especially with this Marmite ending. I'm a fan of Marmite endings when they're when they fall in my direction.
I kind, because the head of the order is this pregnant woman, that probably tells you something.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that she works out as she's going along, but they obviously, because they're not talking to you, you don't know the full context of what's going on. But I think you can pretty much get everything that you need to. I mean,
sure.
From time to time, it comes up with little you'll get these little phrases that come up that sort of sound biblical, but clearly they're not. They're just them saying that they endure and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But there are some incredibly cool gory stuff, like decapitations, and when the creatures get their hands. I mean, they're proper shamblers. They're not. They don't seem to be terribly intelligent, or they just seem to be, charred humans that when they get hold of you, they do rip people apart. They're full on nasty creatures. I just loved it. It's really fun. There's mostly well shot. Sometimes I think that it loses a little bit, but it is just running around in a forest mostly. So
sure. I have seen a lot of those films and enjoyed them though. The running around in the forest movies. Yeah.
I think it's getting unfairly knocked for the lack of dialogue and the lack of clarity.
It sounds like the point though.
I think for me, it gives you all the information.
Yeah.
Literally at the start that you need.
And you have understood throughout the film broadly what's going on. So it obviously communicated enough for you.
I mean, I understand if you don't like watching women get chased around the woods, as it were.
It might get a bit boring.
You're never gonna like this, are you?
Sure, yeah.
It's not for you. I mean, it's kind of, that sort of survival horror movie. Really, it feels very much like one of those Outlast, or that sort of.
Yeah.
I'm going to run around the forest. Something's going to jump out at me, and I'm going to run away, sort of thing. But as I said, Samara Weaving just knocks it out of the park by not speaking at all, just pure expressions and huge eye acting. So I really recommend this for fans of that sort of survival horror type thing. It certainly won't be for everybody, but then we say that about most of the movies we watch. And it's going to say the same thing about the movie we'll review later. But it's a really nice, I thought, a really nice example of that particular movie with a little, a little twist to it that I guess it's a little gimmick that I didn't outstay its welcome for me. I thought it was great. I'm sure there will be people that it will totally piss off.
Yeah.
But for me, it worked.
Cool.
It really did. It was just a really nice put together, clearly cheap. Yeah. Movie.
Which is fine,
And if you're a Samara Weaving fan who, let's face it, she's been
fucking
great.
I enjoyed her, I remember for Ash versus the Evil Dead, she was great in, and Babysitter movies she was in as well, right? I like her. So I think she's fine.
Yeah, she's really fun. And it's a real nice little horror.
Yeah, cool. Right. I need to make a decision. What am I going to talk about first? I will talk about this horror movie because it's the Halloween season. I watched Speak No Evil, directed by James Watkins. It's the remake.
Say the original or the remake?
No, the remake. Well, I have seen the original, so it's kind of an interesting,
that is interesting.
So it is based on a Danish movie made like a couple of years back.
I was gonna say it's not even that old, is it?
No, like 22, I think. 22,
Ooh.
23. It wasn't very long ago. I ended up watching both out of curiosity, so
That's cool.
Yeah, well, it was like, yeah, I have time. I can watch both. But primarily, I'm here to review the new one, the American remake. James Watkins directed and screenplay, starring James McAvoy, Mackenzie Davis, Scoot McNairy, and a bunch of other people. It's a much like it kind of follows the original relatively until the end, and then it does a little bit more at the end. It goes a bit more American at the end. It's like, let's go big, or big, not big, but more over the top and more kind of
bombastic.
But it works fine. So basically what I think the original does really well. I think the original is kind of based around the idea of how people feel the need to be polite, and how you feel like you need to, and it works very well as British people. We understand this, being polite in company, and even when people are potentially being outrageous, you're kind of dealing with it. And the original and this version kind of has this. So effectively in the remake, we have this American couple, Louise and Ben. They've got a teen daughter called Agnes. She has a few issues. She's got like a what would you call it? Like an emotional support teddy bear that she's like lost without, this bunny. She's like, she can't deal without it. You can tell that Ben's kind of frustrated. He feels like she needs to grow out of it. The mum is much more supportive of her daughter. You feel like even from the start, you can tell there are issues within their relationship. Like, she kind of resents him in some ways. He kind of resents her in some ways. There is some, like, they're on holiday and they're having a good time, but you can tell that there's some issues bubbling underneath that neither are talking to each other about, right? So while on holiday, they see this British couple, Paddy and Kiara, I think her name is, and their son Ant. And Paddy, I'm glad to say, this movie, none of this would happen to me. Because I'd see this dickhead and just be like, no, I'm not fucking coming to stay with you. Fuck that. In fact, I wouldn't have even had the dinner on holiday with them. But anyway, they're sunning themselves, and Paddy comes over and he's like, oh, is this sunbed free? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. They've got some of their daughter's stuff on it. They move it, and he basically, you kind of assume he's going to sit next to them, but he actually grabs the whole thing and pulls it over to the other side of the pool with his family. But you can kind of tell early on as he's watching this guy, Paddy, who is loud, brash, and outgoing and adventurous and up for fun all the time. And you can kind of see that from Ben's perspective, he kind of wants to be a bit like that. And there's moments where he suggests to his partner, like, hey, should we get a beer? Because he sees him having a beer with his family, and his family are drinking and having a great time. And he's like, oh, should we get a beer? And she's like, oh, it's a bit early in the day for that. Let's not do that, and kind of like shoots it down. And there's a couple of moments like that where you can tell he's like, I could never be like this person, but there's something about him that he kind of likes, I think, where he's like, I kind of like this. I'm
repressed, and he's not.
Yeah, like he's outgoing and I'm a bit more repressed, and I kind of wish I could be a bit more like that. And so they end up spending some time together, and they're quite a sweet, nice people on holiday. They have a meal together and they get to know each other reasonably well, and to the point where they're invited to spend some time in their home in the West Country, in the future if they'd like, and they get an invite, so they decide to go, which I would not have done. But they do. And so they head out. He's a doctor, so he's got lots of money, and they've got this lovely house in the middle of nowhere or whatever. So they head out to meet them and spend like a week or whatever with this couple and their kid. Kid is, it said, has some kind of I don't know what the term for the illness is. Has some kind of deformity, like that affects his tongue, so his tongue is not as developed as a normal person's tongue, so he can't speak particularly well, and he doesn't really speak through the movie. So they get there, and they are now guests of this couple, and they over the course of the movie, it kind of ratchets, it escalates, right? But this film and the original and this film do a very good job of making that really fucking awkward, tense social situation play out, where someone is acting up or people are being inappropriate, and they kind of feel like, oh Christ, I'm living with this person now, I'm living with these people, I'm their guest, I have to kind of put up with this behavior that I'm seeing in front of me, and when do I challenge this behavior? And like, for example, Mackenzie Davis' character is very clear on holiday that she's vegetarian. And he basically feeds her meat. He's like, "Oh look, we've just made this wonderful. We've just killed this. We've killed this duck or whatever it is. I can't remember what it is now. They've killed this animal, and they're like, oh, it was a sweet animal, and we killed it just for you, and have this meat." And she eats it out of politeness. She eats the bit of meat she's given out of pure politeness, because McAvoy's character is very kind of overbearing, and he's very intense, and she gives in. And then there's a couple of moments during the movie or quite a few moments during the movie, where they let things slide, and it just gets more and more awkward and uncomfortable, and especially around his treatment of his son, where he's bullying his son in places right in front of them, and like a couple of times Mackenzie Davis's character like actually speaks out. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you can't be doing that. And there's like a great scene where McAvoy's wife, I think her name is Kiara, she is basically, they're having dinner while at their house, and their daughter's there, and she is telling the couple's daughter to not chew with her mouth open. She's like, "Don't chew with your mouth open," and she's like, "Excuse me, don't chew with your mouth open." And so Mackenzie Davis's character is like, "Sorry, can you stop telling my daughter what to do?" And she's like, "Well, we just, it's just, they need to learn, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, but it's kind of the parents' place to do that, not yours." And so, they're kind of having this conversation about it, but they kind of let it go. And then immediately after that, the daughter and McAvoy's son, they've come up with this dance, and they go and have this dance. And McAvoy gets really fucking aggressive and annoyed with his kid, and he starts like pushing him around. He's like, you're not dancing properly. Do it properly. And then so Mackenzie Davis is like, what are you doing? You're like abusing this kid. And then he turns around. He's like, so now you're telling us how to parent. You can't do that. You just said we're not allowed to do that to your kid. How dare you tell us we have different ways than you do? So it's fine. And it's really well done. The tension and the kind of awkwardness that this movie and the original manage is fantastic. This film in particular here, like James McAvoy, who is obviously fantastic, he is so good in this role. Like, he is so good. Like, I feel like I've seen this kind of person before. When they're on holiday, you're like, I have seen that kind of asshole before. And it gets more and more intense, and like I said, the ending of this one does differ from the original, and I think that you'll either go with it or you won't. I would say it's a more Americanized ending, but I liked it and I thought it worked. I actually really liked this movie. I actually thought this was really, really good. Both films are really good. I would recommend checking out both, to be honest. I think I'd probably lean towards the Danish original more.
Yeah.
But as a remake, I thought this was great. And if you've never seen the original and you just want to see this movie, I actually think this is a really good movie, and it's well worth your time. Primarily down to the cast. I mean, the acting in this is superb from everyone.
Fantastic cast.
It really is a fantastic cast. And Scoot McNairy, I think, is also superb in the.
He's so underrated.
He really is, and he's very good in this. Is that kind of like he really wants to stand up for himself, and there's some great scenes where, like, you know, Mackenzie Davis's character and him are like having arguments, and she's like, "You'll stand up to me, but you won't stand up to him, and you won't stand up to her. You know, you won't stand up to the other people, but you'll have an argument with me, no problem." Yeah, there's some really, really good scenes in this, and you know, they both have their own issues with each other in the relationship and stuff, and that kind of plays out on the side as well. And in a lot of ways, it's almost a shame that this movie is clearly a horror movie, and if you've seen the trailer, you know, because it does. God, it would be really fun to go into this blind and not know where it's going. But if you see the trailer, you know where it's going. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I genuinely was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Because if I'm honest, I saw the trailer and I wasn't really like, I was like, yeah, it looks okay, but I wasn't like particularly won over. And Blumhouse are a bit hit and miss these days. Let's be honest.
They certainly can be, yeah. It's one of the ones that I've actually wanted to watch, so I will definitely.
Once you've seen it, we can have another chat.
Yeah, James Watkins did a movie that actually gave me a nightmare.
Eden Lake.
Yeah,
that was fucking horrible. I mean, it's a good movie, but it is like proper, you know.
But it's the one thing in particular that gave me the nightmare, and it was her scream at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That scream stayed with me for weeks.
It's if you've never seen Eden Lake, I think it's a really good movie, but it is a hard watch. It's a hard watch in places.
I think it was one of the first things I remember seeing Kelly Riley in, who I absolutely adore.
Yeah, it was quite an early movie for her, right?
Yeah, and Michael Fassbender, who was
always superb. Yeah,
it's actually quite a small role,
mm-hmm.
and what he goes through is, good lord.
Yeah,
I mean, it is one of those. There was a period where they had a load of they called them like hoodie horror movies.
Yeah,
like, you know,
them and stuff.
Youth killing teachers or people,
mm-hmm.
and it is very much that. I mean,
it is. Yeah, I put it in because it came out around the same time as Them, right? The not the giant ant movie, the other Them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Numerous movies where usually a woman moves to the woods or something, and then there's just people in hoods being assholes. It's kind of that.
It's not the best movies, but that particular
it's effective though.
Yeah, that particular thing at the end absolutely fucking stuck with me and completely. And I don't fucking get, you know, usually affected by horror movies at all. Like, not like that. That was a very visceral thing. So I mean, I would recommend it just to people for that, really. But yeah, that one really stayed with me, and you know, it's a well done movie. So
it is.
You know, so I would definitely. I'm going to check this one out anyway.
Yeah. Well, when you have, we'll come back to it and talk some more. Anyway, what else have you watched?
So I have also seen The Vourdalak.
The Vourdalak.
Yeah.
Tell us about The Vourdalak.
So this is based on a no, it's not Leo Tolstoy. It was his cousin, Alexei Tolstoy's story. It's a short, so it's a novella.
Right.
So it's basically, I think the novel's set in Serbia, but the movie doesn't tell you exactly where it is, just that it's in a sort of Balkans sort of type thing. So it's directed by Andre Breu, starring Casey, now I'm going to butcher this because it's French, Motte Klein? Adrian Labed, and Vasily Schneider and Gregory Collin. So basically, it's the 19th century, and we are introduced to our main character, the Marquis, Jacques Anton. He's got a long bloody French name.
Yes.
Jacques Anton Saturnin Duelfi, who has he's a French ambassador, and he was attacked by bandits, and he's when we encounter him, he's knocking on the door of this house, and the little hatch opens up, and he's basically told to go away. He explains that he was attacked by bandits, and the guy says, "Was it Turks or Greeks?" He's like, "I don't know. They were bandits." He says, "Okay, find shelter for the night. In the morning, go to the house of, I think it's Gregor, and ask him for a horse, and he'll help you out." And then he shuts the thing. So off our guy goes, and he comes across a woman singing, and sort of he seems to sort of frighten her off, and she goes away. Then he comes across seemingly another woman who turns out to not be a woman, but this Peter, who's the guy dressed in woman's clothing, and he explains, that he was attacked and that he's looking for the house of Gregor, and this guy just leads him to this house. So Gorcha, something. So he goes to this house, and it's a family of very odd seeming people. They're all a bit. So it turns out the singing woman is called Zdenka, and so there are 3 children of Gorcha, and the oldest son and his wife and their child. So the father is off hunting Turks, and the head of the household, Gorcha, is supposedly, or should be, in bed upstairs, but he's not. He's gone off to hunt Turks himself. He's an old guy,
Right.
but he's decided he was going to go and hunt them on his own. And he told his family, "Wait 6 days, and if I'm not back in 6 days, do not answer the door to me."
Okay.
So basically, from there, you find out weird things about the family. Sort of, the youngest son wants to be a girl. Basically, the daughter, she dishonored herself with a vagabond, and now she's like a burden on the family.
Right.
And she seems a little touched, and she sings, and she does. And there's this one that the Marquis, he seems to be a bit of a coward, but he tries to sort of woo her, and then he gets a little bit too physical with her. And there's a good scene where she says, "Oh, why don't I take you to where I bathe?" And he says, "Oh, great, I'm in here." So he follows her to this place, and she says, "Follow my voice," and he sort of follows,
no,
and then he nearly falls off this cliff.
Doubt.
And she's like, "Hey, you wanted to see me bathe, didn't you?" And he's like, and he's like, "Yes." And it's like, she points down to the thing. She's like, "It's down there," sort of thing. And it's like, "Oh, okay." And it is one of those sort of moments where you go, "Yeah, you fucking deserve that, you twat."
Yeah.
Basically, they're having a meal. It's all getting a bit sort of. It's all very strange. He's finding it very hard. And there's when he's listening to their conversation, he hears the word Vourdalak, and he asks what it is, and they won't tell him at first. He's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Just pay no attention to it." So they're having this meal, and then the oldest brother is like, he's really pissed off that they let their father go off. And then while they're eating, they notice that his body is lying some feet away from they're outside, they're at this table outside, and they pull him over, and he's clearly not well. He's all sort of masked, he's all sort of bandaged up, and got a hat on and a scarf, and his fingers are really bony and long. Now, I'm not sure whether I should give away the character of Gorcha too much. I mean, clearly he's a fucking Vourdalak, which is basically a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
It's a form of vampire, and this basically goes for the more traditional, horrific, non-romantic. Basically, Vourdalak will feed on the people he loves the most, which is usually he will murder all of his family first. and they have powers of suggestion and they're a lot harder to kill than your usual vampires. And there's the stake in this form is it's not to kill them, it's to keep them in the ground.
Right.
So that there's the character of Gorcha is what they do with it. I'm trying not to dance around it a little. When he's revealed, I think some people will go, "Nope, I'm out."
Hmm.
Do I spoil it? I think I'm going to have to spoil it slightly.
Go
No,
on.
I'm going to spoil it. So if you don't want to know, go now. But he's a puppet.
Okay.
So
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah, it's an incredibly skeletal puppet.
Okay.
With its receding, it's full on corpse, teeth out, lips curled back, rotting sort of looking guy with these long bony fingers. And I think some people are going to go, yeah, no, I don't think so. It really worked for me. I really enjoyed it. It is odd when he pulls this, because at first you can only see he's got this hat on, this scarf across the bottom of his face, and you can see like the ridges of his eyes, and so the guy picks him up and puts him down at the table, and you think, oh bloody hell, that's some good makeup they've got there. It's like the hands move, and you think, oh, the hands are a bit okay, and then when they take the hat off and the scarf, you're like, oh, okay, it's a puppet, right? Fine. Yeah. And I think that's some people that is really going to kill their, but for me it really worked because he's really creepy and he's really sort of he has this sort of command over his family. It's that whole like, even like the oldest son is completely like, oh, I'll do whatever you say, father, blah 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 blah. The two sort of younger siblings are like, we really need to sort of do something about him. And I think some people will think, oh god, why don't they just, he's there, just fucking stake him. But he clearly has this sort of power over them that they can't quite, and he has that this whole, you must obey your father. That's it's like it's in the religion. You must obey your father. How dare you disobey your father? So there is that element of, they can't just stake him when you probably should just stake him, but they don't. So, he basically says how much he loves his grandson, and you're like, well, that kid's not long for the world then. And then basically it's a whole sort of, him sort of surviving and trying to get the Zdenka to go with him, and it has a different ending to the story. I know that I have read the story and I've seen other versions of it. There's, I think it's Black Sabbath. The movie Black Sabbath?
Yeah.
The 3 stories?
Mm-hmm.
The middle one, I think it is this story. It's different.
That vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like slightly different, but it's I really like this. It's got a really nice sort of classical score. It's got these lovely moments where it's almost dreamlike quality, where they are sort of dreams, and it's just sort of like the figures in complete black, surrounded by complete black, while they're sort of, there was one where the mother is explaining that she had this dream of her son, basically being mutilated, as it were, and her finding his sheets and soiled sheets and him not in his bed, and it's just sort of her completely surrounded by black, and it's really beautiful. It's got this, again, it's more forests and wandering around forests and stuff, or wandering around the very dark house, but it's really nice gothic atmosphere to it. And the Marquis, he's a bit of a twat, but you kind of, well, I certainly sort of warmed to him, even though he's he is a bit of a twat, but he clearly ends up sort of really feeling for this Zdenka, who So Ariane Labed, who I'm not sure I've seen her in anything before, but apparently she was in the Assassin's Creed movie,
I never
which
saw it.
I've not seen. So she was in a Black Mirror episode as well, so I must have seen her in that. But yeah, I've not seen her in anything else. She's wonderful as this sort of almost like gypsy-looking sort of, she's got the heavy jewelry and the bangles, and she's got this sort of like this aura of slightly touched, sort of character that she sings these little things, and she's clearly a clever woman who made sort of a bad mistake and is now paying for it with the family. I really, really like this, and again, it's another one of those movies that will test people's patience, especially when I think Gorcho is revealed. But he's really creepy, and it's even when he's like moving around and stuff, and it's like, yeah, you can tell it's a puppet, but it's
not like a puppet master puppet. It's
it's basically like
it's a really cool animatronic kind of thing. Yeah,
it's an animated corpse. He's quite grotesque in a sort of, and it's this isn't a jump scary horror. It's a gothic, will he survive the night sort of horror. In that sort of, as I said before, traditional sort of evil vampire that isn't here to seduce his victims. He's gonna eat his family basically, and he's horrible. I really liked it. I think anybody who wants to see a really cool gothic movie, period piece, which really well directed, I thought, great. Especially the two leads of the Marquis and Zdenka. I thought they were both wonderful. There's just some lovely little sort of scenes, and it whips along. It's not, it's only I think an hour and a half, so it's it whips along. It's never. I mean, it's slow because it's that.
Sure.
It's full of atmosphere. It's that sort of.
Well, that is kind of what a lot of gothic movies kind of are.
Yeah, exactly.
It is all about that atmosphere and that slow pace. So yeah, sounds interesting.
Jump scares or anything like that.
No.
It's a almost an art piece, as you said. The picture looks like it could be arty.
Yeah, the picture looked really arty. Yeah.
I think it's really good. I really enjoyed it, and it's again not going to be for everybody, but I really liked it, and I liked the end. It's as I said, it's different from the original story, but that is, I don't think, a problem at all. It's a really nice little gothic horror.
Cool. Yeah, well, I'll probably check that out. Sounds interesting. So I watched Beetlejuice.
Nice.
The sequel to Beetlejuice. Directed by Tim Burton and obviously starring Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Jenna Ortega, William Dafoe, and I like me some Beetlejuice. I thought the original was fun back in the day. Enjoyed it quite a lot.
Yeah.
Always enjoy Michael Keaton. I think that's a common theme on this show, is that we both love Michael Keaton in most things that Michael Keaton's in.
Yep.
And he slips back into the role like a glove. I think, fortunately, wearing makeup hides a lot as well, because he doesn't look that much different than he used to when he's wearing all of that makeup and stuff.
Yeah, I did wonder whether
he pulls it off. I mean, the performance is just as you remember. Really.
I mean, the funniest thing about Beetlejuice is he's in the movie for what, like 17 minutes?
Yeah.
He's not in the movie for very long. And my guess is he's probably not in this movie that much either.
He's not. He's in it a reasonable amount, not a huge amount. He's not like, well, he's probably in it more than he is in the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the modern day, and Lydia is now a supernatural talk show host. and she does a talk show. Her daughter Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, basically, doesn't really get on with her mother. She thinks that all ghosts are bullshit. It's all a load of nonsense, and Lydia's basically making it all up, and she doesn't really believe it. Lydia's sorry.
Lydia's mother thinks that.
Lydia's daughter, sorry.
Oh, Lydia's
daughter thinks that it's.
I was going to say, surely Lydia's mother knows. That...
Yeah. Lydia's mother knows, obviously, and is a believer. Lydia's husband died in the Amazon, so that happened, and as a result, Astrid, kind of resents Lydia for now dating this awful guy. I forget the name of him. He's just a real sleazy asshole TV producer kind of guy.
Yeah, Rory, Justin Theroux, is that right?
Yes. Who is superb in the role. He's just awful.
He plays douchebags really well.
Yeah, he really does. And again, he's doing it very well here, where you're just like, God, I hate this fucking guy. So she gets the news that her father has died. We all know why he's not in this movie.
Yeah.
As good a way as any to write him out.
Yeah.
And he does appear in the movie.
His legs do, apparently.
His legs appear, and also they animate the scene where he died. And it's animated quite well. In that kind of very Tim Burton-esque kind of animated style.
Yeah.
So they get around it well. And so as a result, they're going back to the old house because Lydia's mum is going to have this big memorial, and she puts the whole house in a black veil, like the house is in mourning, and very very much her character. I forget her character's name. What was her character's name? Delia, that's right. Yeah, so it's very much Delia's character. She's put the whole house in black drapes, and it's like, oh no, the house is in mourning, and whatever. While there, the sleazebag basically puts Lydia on the spot and proposes to her, and she agrees, but you can tell she doesn't really want to, but because everyone's there, she's kind of like, I guess, yeah, okay. Which obviously disgusts Astrid, who is like, oh, God, this guy's such a sleazebag, I can't stand him. He previously tried to kind of like get to know her, and she was like, go away, like you're awful, and I can see straight through what you're doing. You just want like money, and go away. So she runs away, and she meets a boy, and the minor spoiler. No, actually, I don't know if I want to say that. Might just leave that because it's one of the more fun twists of the movie. You can probably see it coming, but it's a fun twist. In any case, for reasons, it should be said actually that Lydia has been seeing Beetlejuice occasionally. Like she'll be doing one of her shows, and she'll just for a moment think she sees him in the audience, kind of thing. She gets like a fright that he's still hanging around. Beetlejuice hasn't left. Like he's still there somewhere, right? And so for reasons that I don't want to go into, Jenna Ortega's character Astrid ends up in the afterlife, and so Lydia, desperate to rescue Astrid, basically calls upon Beetlejuice to help her, and he accepts under certain terms. Those terms being that he wants to marry her. Basically, that was the deal, right? It's like, I want to marry you. I want to, you're my wife to be, and now my time has come to marry you. So that's the deal that they're gonna rescue Astrid from the afterlife, and in return, Lydia will marry Beetlejuice, even though she's already agreed to marry the sleaze guy, Rory. So that's effectively the plot. You will notice that I didn't even mention Monica Bellucci. Who is in this film for some fucking reason. I don't know why. So she is Beetlejuice's ex-wife, girlfriend, right?
Yeah. I'm guessing did he chop her up?
I can't actually.
She's in pieces, isn't she?
She's in pieces. I can't actually remember now. I think he did. So she is basically, she's come back, and she's after Beetlejuice, basically. And then obviously finds out that he's trying to marry Lydia and whatnot.
I presume then that the ring he pulls out in the original movie, because he pulls out a ring with a finger on it, doesn't he?
Yes.
So I presume that's her finger.
I would imagine that's the idea. I honestly, it's not that she gives a bad performance. It's just that through this whole movie, if she wasn't in it, if her character just wasn't in it, the movie could still continue just fine. Like, there's no need for the character at all. Like, Beetlejuice wanting to marry Lydia is enough of a reason for all of the events to happen in the movie anyway, and she doesn't seem to really have any reason to be there or real impact on the plot at all. Because there's also, like, there's also an afterlife police, as it were. They kind of police the afterlife and make sure that people don't escape from the afterlife. Once you're dead, you're dead. And so they're trying to get Astrid out, which is against their rules. So you've already got that as well. You've got the peril of that. So you don't really need her to be in this, which is odd. But what we do have on the police side is William Dafoe, who is great in this movie. He plays an actor.
William Dafoe, he's great.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Well, so in this, he's an actor who, in life, played the part of a detective. So now that he's dead, he is now the head of the police in the afterlife. He's a detective in the afterlife because he was basically an actor who played. So it's quite fun, and his character's really fun. He's kind of trying to piece together what's going on with Beetlejuice and with Monica Bellucci's ex-wife character, and Lydia and Jenna Ortega and everything else. So like I said, I kind of don't want to spoil. I can't really say too much without spoiling the one thing that I did think was a cool twist in this movie, although in hindsight it was kind of obvious. So this movie, I enjoyed watching this. I thought it was fun. All of the characters are back, and they're just the way you remember them. They're fantastic. Michael Keaton, as always, is fantastic. He falls straight back into the role of Beetlejuice perfectly. Winona Ryder, similarly as Lydia, I thought was great. Catherine O'Hara, it's like she never left. She's just that character again immediately. William Dafoe's great. Jenna Ortega's fantastic. So all the characters are great. There are some great moments with Beetlejuice. I like that Beetlejuice is just kind of in the movie without it being a big epic reveal or crazy thing. He's just there. I quite liked that. The weird thing with this film, and my friend actually said, well, it's called Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. I wonder if they're going to do a third one, which would be Beetlejuice Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which would make sense, right? And I am wondering that myself, because although this movie does wrap itself up, it feels like, and this is going to sound like it's really boring. It's not a boring movie. It's quite fun and entertaining, but it doesn't really get, once it finally gets to the point and our characters go to the afterlife, it feels like there's about half an hour of the movie left, if that. Like it's all set up, and then it just kind of ends. It kind of, they get to the afterlife, and then the whole plot of the crux of the story all happens in like 20 minutes right at the end. And until that point, it's all kind of set up, and we're at the old house, and there's the model still upstairs, the model village and stuff, and it's not that it's bad. It's just kind of odd. It sounds like a criticism, but I enjoyed it anyway. It's just odd that you're kind of watching the movie and you're like, but where is this going? And then it finally starts, and you're like, oh, here we go. And then it's like 20 minutes and it's over. And it's like, oh, that was quick. So it kind of feels like an hour of setup and then about half an hour of movie of the core of the story. But it's fun. I had a lot of fun watching it. It didn't feel like a pointless cash grab sequel or anything like that. Much like Ghostbusters Afterlife, it kind of feels like it's done with from a place of genuine love, and everyone wants to be there.
I I mean, that's always a good idea when it feels like they fucking want to be there.
And Michael Keaton.
When you get a sequel, it looks like they're just turning up for the money.
It does happen, doesn't it? But here I don't get that. You know, Michael Keaton really, really looks like he wants to be there. He's playing Beetlejuice perfectly. Yeah, it's fun. It is fun.
He said before it was probably the only character that he has ever wanted to return to.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? But yeah, I liked it enough. I don't think it's a fantastic movie. But it's fine. And for one of these, like, hey, we're going to do a sequel 30, 40 years later, it's one of the better ones, honestly.
It's not, the thing is, it's not for want of trying, is it? Because I think a number of...
it's not, you know...
There's a number of scripts out there for times they've tried to get, bring... I think what was the biggest one was it something like Beetlejuice Goes to the Bahamas or something?
Yeah, it was something weird
Miami
like that.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Some sort of tropically type place. I think was Hawaii, maybe? Was it Hawaii?
Something like that.
It's one of those sort of like hot places.
Yeah. The effects in the movie are great. Lots of practical effects. And what CGI they use, they've made to look practical.
To be honest.
No, absolutely. I guess it's just that new movie-itis where you're kind of like fearful that they might. But it looks like it's all practical, or where they've used CG, they've made it look practical, so it kind of works anyway. I thought it was really fun. It's not the best film I've seen, but it was serviceable and enjoyable, and it has a superb cast, so it's worth the watch for sure.
Did they explain why for fuck's sake,
why Baldwin and co aren't there?
Yes.
They found a loophole and got out. I think that's literally what they say. Something like that. They found a loophole, so they're not here anymore. But out of respect, they've left the model village up for the sake of nostalgia, because people need to see that in their Beetlejuice movie. They've had to leave it in the loft for contractual reasons.
They were obviously not going to fucking bring Baldwin back.
Well, no, clearly not. This film could have been full of controversy, couldn't it? Jesus.
Yeah. Well, they could have brought Gina Davis back, though.
That's true. I guess that might have raised more questions.
It would have been a bit weird with
because
her
because they're both dead, so why would one have disappeared?
Yeah, it would have been odd with her without him, I suppose.
Yeah. And also, being dead, they probably should look the same age. Like, Beetlejuice, they get away with it with Beetlejuice because he's wearing the makeup and stuff, and he's kind of crusty anyway. But
he didn't exactly look the peak health in the first one, so...
No. Yeah, so they do explain it, but it's really vague. I'm pretty sure it's something like, oh, they found a loophole, and so they don't have to hang around anymore. They've escaped. They've moved on, yeah. But enjoyable movie. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it, actually.
I love the first one.
Me too. It's not up with the first one, but it's, you're not. I don't think you're going to be offended. It's not going to be one of those.
If you expect it to be as good as the first one, then I think you're already in for a fall.
Absolutely, but it's not going to anger you. It's not going to be one of those for fuck's sake kind of remakes or sequels. It's fine.
Okay.
I'd probably watch a third one if they made a third one. I probably would.
Well, I think it's done pretty well, so chances are.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this time though they have to be fucking quick.
Yes. I would. They certainly can't wait another 30, 40 years. That
No.
But yeah, I quite enjoyed it. So yeah, I do recommend it. Anyway, what else have you watched?
So I was in the mood for a comedy.
Well, you were.
And I saw that Brothers had been released on Amazon in this week.
So I wish you'd say it like you said it when I asked you for the thumbnail earlier. I was like, what have you watched this week? And you went, Brothers. So, hey, the cast is pretty good, though. So,
well, that's what I thought. I thought the cast is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's Josh Brolin, Peter Dinklage, and Glenn Close. And it's Emmett Walsh's last movie.
Right.
It's also got Brendan Fraser in it.
Yeah.
And weirdly, his character really brings to mind all of his more sort of wackier characters that he did, his sort of George of the Jungle-y type, monkey bone type characters. He's way more wacky on this one than his last couple of roles that I've seen recently. I was really happy. This probably means nothing to most people, but Jen Landon turns up, who plays the young version of Glenn Close's character. Now,
Right.
I've not seen her in an awful lot, but she plays Teeter in Yellowstone, who is one of my favourite characters. So when she turned up, I was like, "Oh my god, it's Teeter!" So there was a little thrill for me for that, but that was it. So basically, you've got Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage play twins. They are from a family of criminals. Since a young age, they were, trying to steal lunch money and well, school money and bikes and all sorts, and they have their little sort of sprees and things, and their mother was a jewel thief, or just general sort of thief and robber. And when you first see her, she's her and her partner are driving. Is it Thanksgiving? I think it is. They drive in sort of manically. Say they can't stop. They've just stolen a load of rubies. That's not rubies, emeralds, and they're going to go up. Her partner is clearly dying. He's been shot, and the police are coming after them. So that her last words to Josh Brolin's character, when he says, "I can come with you," and she says, "I can't use you," and then
Right.
off she goes. So as they've grown older, it's well, as they were going along, Dinklage's character is the one that wants to do all the crime. He wants to do the bigger and better stuff. Brolin's character, not so much. He sort of kind of only does it for his brother, and he wants to get out. Now, during basically a botched robbery, Dinklage gets pinched. He goes to prison for 5 years. Brolin and basically goes straight, gets himself a new family. So he's got himself a new girlfriend in Taylor Page, his character, and she's pregnant. He's working at a fast food place, and he's doing his best to live a normal life. When the brother turns up and says, "Hey, I've got this, I need you to do this thing for me," and it's like it's a one last job to sort of see them off, sort of thing. And he's like, he doesn't want to go, but he's like, "Okay, fine, fuck it, we'll he agrees. He makes up a story to his girlfriend and says, "Oh, they're off to see a dying aunt or something like that." And what Dinklage's character doesn't tell his brother is that he was released because Brendan Fraser's character is a guard at the prison that he was in,
Right.
Officer Farfel, and who's a real asshole. His father is Judge Farfel, who's clearly a fucking bent judge.
Right.
And they've got him off early so that he can get these emeralds that
Okay.
their mother. So the emeralds were the dying partner swallowed them, so she buried him with the emeralds,
Hmm.
and then she disappeared, and so they haven't seen her for 30 years. So then it's this whole sort of heisty, sort of like trying to get them, stay away from the Officer Farfel and to get these emeralds back while encountering. I mean, it's in the trailer, so there's a scene with Dinklage's character has been corresponding with this sort of mental hippy dippy character oh my god, what's it? Played by Marissa Tomei.
Oh, okay.
And basically he's just using her to get this security pass.
Okay.
And they go off to sort of have some fun time while Josh Brolin's character stays in the other room when a orangutan comes in and basically in a forcefully persuasive way gets Josh Brolin's character to wank him off. So this movie is just not funny. All the funny stuff is
not funny comedy. That is the worst
funny
kind.
stuff is in the trailer.
Yeah, I hate it when they do that.
Saw the trailer, thought, okay, that looks funny enough. I'll give that a go.
With not knowing that was the only funny part.
There's a couple of funny lines, when he's talking about prison. I won't spoil the funny lines. I won't be that mean. I certainly wouldn't recommend this. I mean, everybody's fine in it. They're doing their best. It feels like it wants to be a sort of right. So here's the thing. It's written by Ethan Cohen, not one of the Coens.
Right.
Right. But this movie clearly wants to be a fucking Cohen style movie. It wants to be that sort of oh Christ, Arizona, Raising Arizona. It wants to be that sort of Raising Arizona sort of, wacky comedy, over their heads criminal type sort of thing, and it just doesn't pull it off. It's not, I think, because of their acting chops. It's because the script is just rubbish.
Yeah.
There's a couple of bits that did make me chuckle, particularly when Brendan Fraser's on screen really just being a dick. It's screamy Brendan Fraser. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean by that.
It's screamy Brendan Fraser, and it's actually it was kind of like, it just made me go, oh, I like screamy Brendan Fraser. So there was that, but I just wanted it to fucking end. It was like halfway through.
It's the worst. It's the worst kind of movie. Like, an unfunny comedy is the worst kind of movie. Like, where do you go with that? There's nothing now.
There is some sort of nice, touching moments between the brothers, but then they kind of almost literally give with one hand and take away with the other.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, fine. I know what you're doing, but it doesn't work. It doesn't feel earned enough. I mean, fucking Glenn Close is Glenn Close, so she's fine. She's not, it's not taxing her or anything. She doesn't really get a lot to do. And the two mains are okay. It's just not a very good comedy. It's just not funny enough, and the story's not done well enough to be. It's like, just watch Raising Arizona or something, or that is genuinely funny and genuinely wacky in a not bad way. This was just pretty fucking cringe. So I cannot recommend this at all. Just fun.
Yeah. Oh well, you can't win them all.
No.
So, I believe there is one more movie. You have also watched Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh yes, I completely forgot. I thought about that.
Just as well you told me.
Yeah.
So I reviewed this last week, I think. So I just, interested what you made of it, how you found it.
Okay, so I thought this was definitely the worst one.
Oh, yes, 100% agree.
Oh god, it really does heavily rely on your love for all the characters.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? I think I said in my review, like, this is everything I hate in a fucking Marvel movie. Like, this multiverse bullshit. It's like all of it's there, and it's purely held together.
It doesn't even make fucking sense.
No, not at all. No, and multiverse bullshit. Yeah, through and through.
The Mr. Paradox or Doctor fucking Mr. Paradox.
Oh yeah, that was his name.
Matthew McFadden's character. It's like,
what is your plan?
You just
by
bringing Deadpool into this thing,
you
just made this worse for yourself. Why would you?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense why he would even bring him in.
Well, I think he was ordered to. Wasn't that what you said? That he was told that he had to because Deadpool was important?
Maybe that's.
I think that's what he says. I'm forgetting now, but
it didn't.
I thought he brought him there because he was the one important being from that universe that they were going to keep.
That's probably the.
I can't remember.
The truth, but it just doesn't fucking make sense.
No.
It's like, oh, okay, fine.
And like when later in the movie, they're able to they can bring in a Wolverine and restrain Wolverine or do whatever, but they can't do that to Deadpool. And it's like you have all of these universal powers, but when you bring Deadpool in, you just bring him in and he's as deadly as he would be normally.
The whole fucking time, whatever, Bureau or whatever the fuck they are, that they can fuck off anyway.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I never watched Loki, so I don't know anything about it. No, me either. I hate multiverse stuff, which I think I said in my review. I hate all that shit.
I like multiverse stuff when it's done well.
It's not done well here at all.
Marvel's kind of bungled it.
Yeah.
So, I thought Emma Corrin was great.
Yeah, I think the cast are great. I think the cast are generally pretty good.
She's fucking wasted.
Yeah,
that should have been a villain in a better movie.
Yeah, an X-Men movie, preferably.
She should have been. Yeah, she should have been a villain in an X-Men movie.
Wouldn't it have been something if Professor X got to meet? Yeah. Wouldn't that be better?
Hello.
Yeah, that was a loud bike. I don't know.
That was a very loud bike.
Yeah. They do that.
It was so good seeing Blade.
Yeah, it just makes you want another Blade movie.
Yeah, please.
Really.
Just do another Blade movie with him. I know he's getting on a bit, and I know he's hard to deal with.
But do an Old Man Logan with Blade, and you could make it as like kind of a touching tribute to Chris Christopherson as well.
Yeah.
Now.
Absolutely.
You could have it. He's lost Whistler. He's lost everything. You know.
Kind of ignore 3.
Yeah, I would. Yes, that's exactly what I would do.
Ignore 3. I liked seeing Jennifer Garner's Elektra.
Yeah, that was a weird choice, but it was fun. Yeah.
It was kind of cool, and it was
well, there is original art for that for this movie had like Ghost Rider and Daredevil as well.
Yeah.
So I think the original plan was to have Ben Affleck in this and Nicolas Cage, and they both were like, nah.
There was a couple of fun jokes that worked.
I laughed a few times. Like, yeah, I thought it was funny in places.
The funniest one I thought was the Channing Tatum Gambit bit where
no one could understand him.
Yeah,
and then, it was funny.
And I loved the line. His line was it? Who is your voice coach? The Minions?
Yeah.
that was great, and I like the fact that poor Channing Tatum was trying to get a fucking Gambit movie for.
I know. Well, that's kind of why I think that's kind of why I was as kind to this movie as I was, is because it did kind of give us a goodbye to characters, and it also gave people the chance to play characters. They finally got to do it,
Yeah, and I think from his point of view, it was a case of, well,
it's now or
I'm never going to get to play him properly.
Well, he might now. I mean, that's the ironic thing.
Maybe. As long as he doesn't, if they're going to do a Gambit movie, don't do this Gambit.
No,
this Gambit was so over the top and silly.
Yeah.
It worked for this movie.
Oh, totally. It totally worked for the gag. But yeah, if he's going to do it, you need to tone that down a bit, for sure.
Yeah. the whole premise for Wolverine, sorry, not Wolverine, for Deadpool, this whole
None of it makes it like
I want to be Avenger.
I was like, why does she split up with him? Why does she split up with him?
Purely, they just wanted to do it.
Yeah, like it's so forced, and there's no reason for it. And even when they've split up, she still just hangs around all the time, and they're kind of the same anyway. It was so weird.
And the weirdest thing is that scene where she's saying to him, "Oh, I want you to be more. I want you to." It even feels like she doesn't want to say those fucking words.
Yeah, and you know the weird thing is, like I was saying about Monica Bellucci in Beetlejuice. There's no reason for her to split up with him because the whole universe is at stake. He's still going to lose everyone he loves because that universe is getting erased. Doesn't this movie work without that forced weirdness?
Yep.
Like, it's just no need for it. It's weird.
And hey, wouldn't it be nice if they were still together and he had a real reason?
But I think I said during my review, the worst part of it is that her reason for splitting up with him is, oh, you need to do something that's not just for you. And it's like, he did loads for you in the last 2 movies. Yeah. Yeah, like all of his motivations were saving you and keeping you okay and safe. Like
he brought you back from death.
Yeah, that's like the whole point.
It's fucking stupid. I mean, again, the whole fucking I want to be an Avenger is like,
why?
No, it's just fucking stupid. It was so weird.
Well, I see. If I was doing it, I would have done it the other way around. I would have had, if it was going to be Happy, fine. I would have had Happy approach Deadpool and ask him to be in the Avengers and have Deadpool say, fuck off. Like, that would have made more sense to me.
Yeah, it would have been funnier as well.
Yeah.
And I did that unintentionally, but Happy thing that made me laugh was Jon Favreau looks like he's got more makeup on him than Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson.
Yeah.
He was so caked.
He was.
He looked like he was a mannequin.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked almost fake. It was like, did they like CG him in or something?
Shiny. It was really weird. That made me laugh, and I don't think it was intentional.
No.
There's some really nice fight scenes.
Yeah, the choreography's pretty good in places. I agree.
There's some. I really liked the almost unending fight scene in the car.
That was funny. I must admit.
That was funny.
Yeah.
The many Deadpools was again great.
It was great. They shouldn't have released it as a trailer.
No.
It would have been way more fun if it wasn't in the trailer.
Yeah. That was fun.
I thought Nice Paul was quite funny. Like, I quite enjoyed the like his attempts at just trying to off him for the dog and stuff was quite fun.
The combination with the dog was very good. The derpy dog pool was great. That was funny, and I did like the fact that he was like the only. Nice Paul was the only one who didn't have the healing factor.
Yeah,
all of the other Deadpools got healing factor except for him.
Yeah, and I love when he's like, just heal, and he's like, what? What do you mean?
And I mean, the
thing is, if you're like me, I thought the movie is fun and entertaining in spite of itself.
Yeah.
Like it's everything I hate, but the cast and the jokes kind of got me through, you know.
It's a pretty rubbish movie.
Yeah.
Together because you like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, and I like Blade, and I got a kick out of Chris Evans's Human Torch, and you know it was fun. I mean, that's the thing. It's garbage. It's trash. I think is what I said. It's trash, but it's fun trash, right? But I agree, it's 100% the worst of the 3 for
annoyingly,
sure.
Like there are stuff that should have been put in other movies that like the Cassandra and everything. Some of the
she would have made a really interesting Fox villain for the X-Men.
Yeah, I mean she gets that great interaction with Logan where he tells her about if she ever knew
if Xavier knew she was alive and all that kind of stuff, he would
move heaven and earth to get her out, and that her expression when she sort of learns that it's like really cool, and then it's just like, and then they just do the thing of, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna destroy everything anyway.
Yeah, I am villain.
Oh, okay, fine, sure. I mean, it's just little. The thing is, it's a movie that's just full of little bits that are nice.
Yes,
Little,
I 100% agree.
like
100%.
the multiple other Wolverines was the Cavill.
I think the funniest one for me was the comic accurate one, the short one.
The comic actor.
That was probably one of the funniest jokes in the movie.
Yeah, that was great when he gets on the stool. That's so funny. And again, all those really cool covers. The Wolverine nailed to the X and
the Hulk thing was quite
Hulk
cool.
cover. Yeah, which was it is clearly just fanboy stuff.
Well, this whole movie is that though. That is the whole movie. Is just cameo fanboy central.
Daphne Keane was not. It didn't really make sense for her to be there, but it was.
It was nice. Cool. It kind of worked because she would be the one character that could touch that Logan.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I have experience of a washed up drunk Logan, and I don't know. It like you said. It's fucking trash, but it is entertaining trash.
I mean, I would happily put on the first Deadpool right now and watch it.
Yeah, me too. If someone said, "Hey, do you want to watch the original Deadpool?" I'd be like, "Yeah, okay." And if someone said, "Do you want to watch Deadpool 2?" I'd be like, "Well, I guess, why not?"
I could do that, but I don't think I'd ever watch this again.
No, God, no. And to be honest, if someone was like, "Hey, I'm going to put on Deadpool Wolverine," I'd be like, "Cool," and I'd probably spend half of the time looking at something else, looking at my phone, fucking about, and just not really paying attention, because I don't really care. But it was entertaining.
Yeah,
it's just a shame. It's one of those things where it's like I'm having fun. Like this story is garbage.
Yeah.
I hate the multiverse stuff. None of it makes any sense.
No.
But I'm enjoying these characters,
and the whole Void thing was so fucking weird. There's a big monstery thing that we feed people to,
but it's very selective about who it fucking eats and when it does it and when it turns up, and everyone seems quite happy in this base that seems to be relatively static and is there forever, and the monster hasn't just wiped all of them out yet. Apparently that's something from Loki, so that might be a thing that I've missed. I don't know what the fuck that thing is, but apparently it's in Loki or something.
Fine, I don't.
Yeah, same, right?
I'm never going to watch Loki, so I don't give a fuck.
So I'm having fun watching these characters, and these actors play these characters. But then even that makes me annoyed, because then I'm like, God, I wish we had like Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine like this in the fucking outfit doing all of this. Oh God, I wish we had Blade back for another movie. Oh God, I wish, and it just goes on and on and on to where you're like, fucking hell. Like it's almost depressing when you're like, this movie is like full of things that would be really fun in actual movies.
I was actually genuinely surprised that Wolverine spends a good 10 minutes of the movie actually in the mask.
Yeah.
They actually put him in the mask, and it's like, oh my God, they put him in the mask. How fucking cool is that?
And it looks amazing. It looks so good.
I honestly thought he would stick it on and then he'd immediately take it off.
I thought exactly the same.
But no, they kept it on for a while, and it was like,
they although I did think at the end, I've got to admit.
Well, when the shirt came off.
Well, not when the shirt came off. After, right? Yeah. Did you? Because I laughed when this happened, because I assumed they did this for one fucking reason alone. So his shirt comes off. It explodes for reasons.
Yeah.
And you get that great moment with his abs and stuff. And there was a lot of talk about, oh my God, Hugh Jackman's really old now. Can he really pull it off? And there was a lot of talk of, oh, it's all CGI. They're going to just CGI the muscles on him, whatever. Did you think that after that scene, he comes in and takes the mask off purely for Hugh Jackman to be like, no, look, it is actually me. I am actually that jacked. No, it's not a stand-in. I am actually that jacked.
Yes.
I felt like that's the only reason he took the mask off, was to look at the camera and go, yeah, even at my age, I am that damn good. I can still do it,
That, God, that cannot be good for him at that age.
No, of course not.
But yeah,
it's a single role, I guess. Train for a role and then chill out. But
I really, really hope that's it now.
Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be. Even the movie's making fun of him doing it till he's like 90 or whatever. Isn't Deadpool keep saying that?
Keep saying you do it till you're 90.
Yeah.
which was funny. And the funniest joke, one of the funniest jokes is when he says, "Welcome to the Marvel universe.
You're coming in at a low point.
You're coming in."
Yeah, that got a laugh at me, I must admit.
And I am surprised at how many things they did let him get away. Disney did let him get away with because he's clearly trashing a lot of fucking Marvel in this movie, which is fun.
I suspect that it was the only way they'd get him to make another one. I reckon they came to him asking for him to do another Deadpool. They were like, "Look, this will make us money," and he said, "Well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to make fun of it. You know, I'm going to have to make fun of you." I mean, like the whole like. It's so fucking childish, but I did laugh. The Blade mishearing him and thinking he said retarded instead of retired.
Yes.
And then Deadpool's like, I've already been sent to the void. I don't want to be cancelled twice. Like,
yeah. I mean, there were some great little lines. There were some.
Why didn't they give Blade his sword?
I don't know that they did.
I couldn't understand it. I was like, what? Why didn't they give him his signature sword? It was kind of iconic with that version of Blade, and they gave him some weird, almost long knife thing.
Oh no, yeah, he had that. Yeah, he did.
He didn't have the like katana, the straight. It was like a straight katana that he had, wasn't it? It was weird. It was like almost katana but straight. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was some real fun in it. But overall, it was just terrible.
Yeah.
And
terrible, but entertaining is where I'm at.
Yeah. Terrible, but entertaining, and it, you know, like it didn't feel like anybody was phoning it in or anything. So
no, and in fact, I think I said I thought Hugh Jackman actually really gave some emotion in some scenes.
He had some really fucking good scenes
in
it.
He really did.
And but it did feel like, oh, this should have been in a different movie.
Mm-hmm.
This scene here should have been like the scene with him and Daphne Keane, and the scene with him and Emma Corrin were just like, oh yeah, those scenes were really nice in another movie.
Yeah, it almost feels like this movie's Wolverine would have been a different version of Logan, the movie Logan, where he's not got a burnt out healing factor. He's still capable, but he's equally depressed and has an equally dark history, and horrible things have happened. You know.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. But yeah, I'll never watch it again.
Do you know? It's weird. Like, oh my god, this film's so full of holes. But we established that Wolverine let down the X-Men. Humans killed all the X-Men while he was drunk, but then he came back and he flew into a rage, so he murdered people, and he just kept murdering people. And it's like, okay, that's a really powerful scene. But now I think back and I'm like, why are you free to walk into bars and buy drinks and get drunk? And the barman's like, I think you've had enough drink, Mr. Mass Murderer. It's like, what is this? You
can incapacitate him. I mean, basically, you frag him, and while he's healing, fucking pour concrete on him or something. You know, I mean, there are ways that they should have fucking contained him.
Well, they certainly shouldn't be letting him just walk into bars and get drunk.
No.
It's like he's a mass murderer by his own admission in this film. So it's like, I kind of feel like we should probably do something about that.
Everybody just stays away from him most because he's that. But
I guess. I don't know.
Also, I mean, isn't there a point where a character gets, unredeemable?
Yes.
I mean, we didn't. The thing is we didn't see him murdering.
No, and I mean, the movie does make a point of saying he's the worst one. Like, he's the worst Wolverine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the way they sort of say it in the movie is like, oh, he's the worst Wolverine because he's terrible and a bit sad and a bit more sad and a bit. They don't say he's the worst Wolverine because he murdered thousands of people.
Yeah.
So there's a very fine line there to, the balance with that, but it's mostly done for us. Oh, and I really hated the whole fucking desecrating the Logan corpse thing. That fucking
it didn't bother me actually. That I must admit that didn't bother me anywhere near as much as I thought it would. Purely because I think they were just like, well, there's no way around this. Fucking, like, obviously, we're making a movie where he's turning up again.
They were honest about it, yeah. They came up outright and said, hey, we are going to
I think if
that.
they hadn't done that, I probably would have been annoyed, but the fact that they just came out straight away and they were like, there's no way of making this movie without shitting on Logan, so we're just going to do it immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand that. I just wish they didn't, because it's...
Well, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really affect how I see Logan.
No, not at all.
Awesome
Logan, the trouble is that Logan movie doesn't really fit in with the other X-Men movies either. Like, it feels so separate anyway that it really doesn't bear any, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. I mean, it very much does feel like an Old Man Logan separate thing, doesn't it? It does feel like...
Yeah.
I mean, as you point out on many, many occasions, the X-Men continuity is fucked.
Oh god, it was fucked beyond belief.
It's always been a fucking mess.
The rule with X-Men, Fox X-Men movies, the general rule that I always employed was like, only remember the last film, and even then only remember bits of it.
Yeah.
And ignore anything that doesn't make sense. There is no canon in those movies. The first 2 or 3... But fuck me, when you get to like First Class onwards, it's like, oh my god, what does anything mean anymore? What is meant to be reality?
Yeah, I still haven't rewatched 3.
Oh, I imagine it's terrible.
But it does seem to be getting a sort of value in recent times.
I remember it had some really fun set pieces, like the bridge stuff with Magneto they did from the comics. I remember that being quite...
I remember liking most of the mass brawl at the end.
Yeah.
And Kitty going through the walls and stuff.
I remember being really annoyed with some stuff, though. Like, I remember, like, the way that Magneto treats Mystique after she's lost her powers and stuff.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
It was like, what the fuck? Like, it was just so out of character and so weird and, like...
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're not a mutant anymore, fuck you then.
Yeah, and whereas reality, I think Magneto would have been like, hey, let me help you. You're going to come with me, and we're going to show how heartless and awful these people are for what they've done to you. Like...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and we're going to find a way of getting your powers back. We're going to fix this. Like, it just feels, it feels really weird to me. There were, I don't know. I think I'll just leave that one, to be honest.
I mean, I remember thinking it was the worst of the 3.
Yes.
But, probably thinking about it with what we've been dealing with, the Marvel movies.
The Fox movies and Marvel movies, yeah.
It probably is better than those.
I'm sure it's better than, like, Age of Apocalypse and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't seen Phoenix. Have you seen the Dark Phoenix one?
Yeah, I've seen all of them for some fucking reason.
That's the only one I haven't seen. I don't know why. It's not that I was actively, like...
There was just no need. It's like, oh god, are we doing this again? Like... They should ban that. They should ban that storyline. Just be like, right, it's in law now. Anyone making an X-Men series can never do the fucking Phoenix saga ever again. Stop it.
Just stick with the version that they did in the cartoon. Or I mean, barring the original comics, obviously. But like, the versions that we have on the screen. The cartoon version's still the best.
Oh man, I think it was Red Cow Entertainment did a video of just all of the clips in the X-Men cartoon where Cyclops shouts Jean. It's just like a compilation. It goes on for ages of him just saying Jean. It's amazing.
The thing that these days is because I don't watch telly like I used to. You don't just come across movies anymore. Like like Channel 3 or something would be showing a movie.
No, you never take risks anymore.
I'll just it's on. I'll just watch that.
That never happens.
Do that anymore.
No.
So that's why I don't catch things like, because I think if I come across it on TV, I'd have probably watched Phoenix, but I haven't.
Yeah.
So,
you have to make it's a decision now.
Yeah.
You have to go and find it, or even if you see it in the list, you have to click on it.
Yeah.
It's not like, well, I've only got 4 channels,
and
it's on one of the 4.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I feel like this movie, Deadpool Wolverine, it's like I need to do the washing and like or the ironing. Like there's something in the background that I don't give a shit about.
I mean, I wouldn't want to try and put anybody off of it, I think.
No, it's entertaining. I had a good time. I think I said that. I had a good time.
Yeah.
It's just trash. It's a bad movie that I enjoyed, is what I'm saying.
If you watch the first two, I would still say, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, keep in mind that it's a bit rubbish and it's nowhere near as good as the other two.
I hope they don't do another.
Yeah, I think I hope it's done now. I think just leave it. It doesn't need to be, you know, seen anymore.
No.
So the problem is boatloads of cash sent to people's houses tends to bring people back, doesn't it?
It is a bit of a persuader, yeah.
You know, they could, considering how well this movie did, it would not surprise me to see fucking Jackman be Wolverine again. But I really do hope it's the end for him now, because they Marvel, Disney now really have to think about.
They need to give everything some serious thought.
Well, they need to do something with fucking X-Men.
Are they not gonna just? I imagine they're gonna. They're doing Fantastic Four. I imagine X-Men is not far off that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do it soon.
And I hope they completely reboot it. Really,
they should do,
because they just clearly need to have a complete separate. You know.
Yep.
No McAvoy, no Stewart.
No, don't bring anyone back. Whole new cast.
Yeah, complete new cast. It would be, you know, and maybe give some, you know, unknowns or some lesser known actors a chance to do what they did originally. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the stuff that have you seen the picture they released of Superman with Crypto?
I mean that film continues to look terrible to me. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It looks terrible.
I don't know how I feel about Crypto being in it.
It's like making a Batman movie and immediately having Robin. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
Because to me, Batman was always better on his own, as a general rule. Or at least I like his sidekicks to be older, and you know, like Nightwing was cool. Yeah. And Crypto is like, really?
Well, I mean, the problem is
that it's a fucking dog with superpowers. That's the problem.
But we've always said, like, with our thoughts on Batman and how we'd love to see a proper comics Batman with the weird villains and all that sort of stuff. Superman is kind of the same. You want a lot of the elements of the weirder stuff that Superman deals with.
Yeah. But
that does kind of come with Crypto.
Yeah.
In some form. So, in one respect, it's a kind of, if they're willing to bring Crypto in, maybe they're willing to bring some of the cooler, weirder stuff in.
Yeah.
But then I also think, James Gunn, Suicide Squad, Superman. I don't want to see that.
No.
I don't want to see a Superman Suicide Squad style movie.
No.
Which has kind of been the thing I've been worried about them for, you know, all along with his Superman thing. Because I think he's great. He's a good director.
No doubt. Yeah.
You know, and I loved that last. Well, I didn't love it, but it was. I liked
Suicide Squad was good.
Suicide Squad was really fun. I don't think that's going to work with a Superman movie.
No, me either.
But you know, I'm still at this point. I'm still willing to be hopeful.
It just feels like it's all too much. And again, it's like DC are already rushing. It feels like DC are always rushing. They don't give anything any time. So now, like, they did it last time where it was like, oh, we did Superman. And then it was like Batman v Superman. And Wonder Woman's in it. And then Superman dies at the end. And then
he's dead, yeah.
And it's like, oh my god. And now this one, it's like, oh yeah, so it's our Superman movie. It's the start of our universe, right? With this new Superman movie. But there's already, like, Green Lanterns. And there's already superheroes everywhere on Earth. And there's already, it's like, oh my god, already, like, what are you doing? Let things breathe for 5 minutes. Could we have a Superman movie where he's the only bloody superhero? Could we start there?
So why would you bring fucking Planetary in? I don't even understand. Like, how do you have Planetary without introducing the Justice League first?
Well, this is again. They always seem to want to run before they can walk with these bloody things with DC. I don't know what they're doing.
Weird fucking choices. I mean,
the Penguin continues to be great, by the way. Episode 3 was superb.
Yeah, I've heard absolutely nothing but good things about it. I'm still struggling to care.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. I'm enjoying it as I'm not even really thinking about it as a Batman thing. I'm enjoying it as a show. Yeah. Like it genuinely. I hope they don't bring Batman into it because it'll ruin it. I'm really enjoying this crime show.
The thing that's intriguing me the most is the is it Falcone, the daughter Falcone?
Oh, she's amazing. Yeah,
I've heard so many good things about her character.
Brilliant.
How they handled.
They're all good. I mean, Colin Farrell's Penguin is so much better in this show. Like he's doing way less of the over the top caricature things that he was doing in the Batman movie. He feels like an actual person. Beneath the makeup and all of that, he genuinely feels like he's playing a character. He's not so like over the top Italian stereotype anymore,
I did see a very small interview with the actress that plays, where she was saying that she spent so much time with Colin Farrell as the Penguin that it was very odd when afterwards she was just with Colin Farrell.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be weird. Like, I imagine it would be quite weird.
She said he's just. She thinks of him as like a normal person, like a real person when he's all made up, and she's so used to seeing him like that she says I can see his eyes, but it doesn't click in your head. I thought that was a really little thing.
But no, she's superb in Penguin, and and Colin Farrell's superb is Oz Cobb, as they call him. And Vic is great. The teenager, this kind of tied up in all of this, and they had a really great moment in the last episode where Vic kind of had, because he's kind of been an unwilling participant for most of this, and he finally has an out. He's given an out, and he has to make the choices. Like, well, like he could walk away now. It's like your Breaking Bad moment, right? Like you could leave or not. It's up to you. So yeah, no, I'm enjoying. Honestly, I'm enjoying the Penguin a lot, and I'm enjoying it more as like I'm just ignoring that the Batman thing even exists, and just enjoying this as a show. Yeah. So far, I think it's better than the Batman movie was. Honestly,
that's what I'm hearing.
I'm enjoying it more than I enjoyed the Batman movie, and it's not that I hated the Batman movie. I had issues with it, as I've said many times. But yeah, I think this is just a really good show. It's well worth a watch, just on its own merit. I think it's a good show, but I haven't seen episode 4 yet, so
okay,
we'll get that a go soon.
I did start that Netflix documentary about oh my god, Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah, I watched that. Yeah.
Have you seen all of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've only seen the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And I've been really enjoying them.
It's good. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like if you're a wrestling fan, there's very little new in there. But it was a well-made documentary for sure.
It was from what I've seen so far. I mean, where I am in that thing, I think, is kind of my era of wrestling.
Yeah,
I was sort of late 80s to sort of mid 90s is my era.
Yeah, it's my golden era as well. Yeah.
So I'm around there, and they've just got on to all the Nitro stuff and the that sort of the Hollywood Hogan era.
Yeah.
And like you said, the screw job, that I knew about the screw job and all that sort of stuff, but it's
entertaining anyway. I watched all of it. I was like, I know all of this, but I'm still watching it because it's quite a fun.
To hear it from them, as well. Like it was nice to hear it from Hart, and he came. I've seen an interview with him before years ago where he just felt broken and like really bitter.
Oh, he's still bitter as fuck.
He didn't does, but at least he felt like he's dealt with it a bit more now.
Yeah, I think my oh god, who is it in my favorite fucking wrestler in that whole documentary is Tony Atlas. Because Tony Atlas just don't give a shit. He just keeps. He just says. Like it's like there's no filter. Whatever he thinks, he just says it without a second thought. It's amazing.
And it sounds like he's always done that too.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think he's just one of those guys. I think he's just a very truthful, honest person. But it just comes across really funny because you quite often get bits in that documentary where people are trying to spin it or say it in their own way, and then Tony will just literally say it. He's just like, "Nope, this is it." It's like, okay.
Yeah. And I like. I mean, there are things about him I didn't know. I didn't know all the stuff about him and his dad.
No, I didn't know that either. Actually, I knew about his dad and him having to buy the company and all that stuff. But I didn't know. I didn't know about the abuse and stuff. That was all new to me.
It was. Sounds like a fucking weird relationship, doesn't it? It's very sort of strange and. Yeah. He puts on a really sort of interestingly brave face about it. And it sounds almost like he's trying to convince himself of
it does.
It's almost like he's told the story so much he now believes it to be true.
Yes.
About his dad's last words and because it doesn't sound like that happened at all, does it?
What?
Well, he seems to think that his
dad. Oh yeah. His dad's
words were like,
I
love you, son, type thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like I don't think that ever happened.
Yeah. And I mean, they sensibly they show a bit of that, and then they move away from it. I think quite sensibly because of obviously what he's accused of and looks very likely is guilty of now. They obviously didn't want to paint him as too much of a victim, I guess.
No.
But yeah, it's interesting.
It's hilarious the way his double standards.
Oh god, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Like it's and that's the thing. It's like he sounds like he's a monster from what we're reading now. But my god, he's a fascinating brain. I'm like, how does this person work? Like, what is going on with this guy? And they fucked him with this documentary, didn't they? They really managed to get him to lower his guard and just be weird. They said they filmed like 200 hours or something, which I guess is just how they whittled him down to where he just told the truth.
And I've only seen the first 3 episodes, so I don't know.
Oh, it's worth watching. It's well worth watching. It's not my favorite Netflix documentary, but it's good. It's not The Last Dance, which is, in my opinion, the finest documentary Netflix have produced. That's the basketball one.
Oh, okay.
I periodically mention that basketball documentary that I love. I don't even like basketball, but that documentary was amazing. It made me wish I watched basketball in the 90s.
Yeah.
But, it's a good documentary. It's worth finishing for sure.
It is. It's interesting, and and I know a lot of people have said fucking Hulk Hogan's full of shit as well.
Oh yeah, that's been well proven throughout time.
Hulk Hogan have said was like, oh wow, okay. He's quite honest about a lot of things in that documentary.
Yeah. He's just lied a lot about his career and the things he did.
Yeah.
I think the problem is wrestlers like that is like, how old is Hulk Hogan? Like his heyday was in the 80s. He wasn't built for social media. Like that age of wrestler. They were used to not having phones, no recording devices around. You'd film cameras. Like, they could lie a lot. That's kind of what they did. And these wrestlers are still trying that now, and they're getting caught out. And it's like, no, Grandpa, people can record you now, and you'll be held accountable to it, People can pull out when you've lied now. It's recorded. Yeah. So I kind of understand, Yeah. But never mind. Anyway... We've rambled, but it was TV related, so there you go. I recommend that documentary. In any case, I don't think there was much in the way of news, right? I think that was pretty much.
No, there's just this one small one I wanted to bring up, which is a death, but it's Toshiyuki Nishida, who was 76. He is dear to my heart because he played Pigsy in the Monkey TV series from the 70s.
Oh, okay, yep.
I fucking love that show.
Yeah.
It's one of my all-time favorite shows because it's mental and it's about Monkey, and Pigsy is my second favorite character. Mainly because the actor is just so fucking charming as Pigsy. He was a great little actor. He was a great actor who's in many other things as well, but he holds a special place in my heart because of Monkey. So yeah, we sorely missed.
Yeah, we covered Chris Christopherson last week, didn't we?
We did
last time. Yeah. Cool. Well, do you have a movie yet? Because I know the theme, body horror, but we hadn't yet picked a middle film.
We did. We picked. It's the end one. It's whether we do a third one is the one that we haven't picked. So the second one.
Remind me then.
will be Brian Yuzna's Society.
Oh yes, we did decide Society. You're right. Cool. Well, we will be back next week with Society, an awesome movie. I'm really looking forward to rewatching that one as well.
I've seen it, so I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
Hoping it holds up maybe not as well as Videodrome.
Probably not as well as Videodrome, but I remember it. I saw it a couple of years back, and I remember it being very entertaining. So
I mean, the effects I'm sure will hold up a lot.
Yeah. But in any case, we will be back next week. Until then, stay safe, take care, and we will catch you next time.